Here's the latest on Helene, a very strong hurricane. So a category 3, that's considered a major hurricane. The eye becoming very well defined here. So strengthening still happening. And again, it's still a category 3. Oh, and now the latest update. Since I last spoke with you, it is now a category 4.
Since Hurricane Helene made landfall about 2 weeks ago, followed shortly thereafter by Hurricane Milton, the estimates of damage from those two storms throughout Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia is anywhere between $30 to $40 billion. And that number is going up because there are so many businesses and families affected by these storms. So far, they've estimated 280 people have died and about 90 are still missing. I made this video to kind of address an issue that I saw called out in a newspaper article. I'll have the link to the article down below. But after reading this article, it really kind of pushed me to make this video to kind of really follow up on the video I did last week. Last week I made a video addressing a video on TikTok that was going kind of viral, where someone was saying that over a third of the Appalachian Trail was destroyed. I made a video to kind of dispel that. In this video, I'm wanting to focus more on the human impact of Hurricane Helene in Appalachia and kind of see if I can employ you and ourselves to continue to help these folks. Guys, my name is Don. You're watching The Bitter Hiker. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's just jump right into this. So as I kind of mentioned at the start of the video, the human toll of Hurricane Helene is still growing. About 280 people have died, 90 people are still missing, thousands are still without electricity and running water. Jobs have been destroyed, businesses have been destroyed, kids haven't been able to go back to school because the infrastructure has been damaged or destroyed, and so on and so forth. And I read an article on Fox News about a business owner who was just able to restart her business after doing the cleanup, etc. But then she said that the tourists that they typically rely on this around this time of the year just haven't materialized. And if that continues, then the cascade of pain that comes out of Hurricane Helene will just continue to grow. More businesses are going to fail, which kind of leads to a cascade, ultimately resulting in people having to abandon the area, and we kind of don't want that. These places in Appalachia are beautiful places. They're beautiful because of the people that live there. They're beautiful because of the environment. Mother Nature may have won this one, but the strength of the human soul often endures, and we will grow and come back from this. So in this video, I kind of want to address a few things, kind of talking about what's actually going on and what we can do to kind of help these folks. So right now there's a massive recovery effort underway. The federal government has received requests for emergency declarations in the states of Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee, and those have been approved. And what that does is it makes federal money available for recovery, as well as to compensate people who may have lost homes and jobs, etc. So there's a slew of programs that become available. The thing is, it often takes time for a lot of these programs to kind of roll out. And for example, in a place where the roads have been totally destroyed or the infrastructure have been destroyed, that's not something that you can put into place in 2 weeks. You have to go through the supply chain of finding vendors who can do the work, making sure you get the equipment in order to get the equipment in. You have to clean the area, make sure the ground is stable, and it's going to take many, many years for a lot of the infrastructure rebuilding and improvements that are needed to prevent another storm like this from happening, or to kind of make the area passable enough that people can get in. It's going to take a lot of time to do that. In the meantime, there are some short-term programs that the government has, as well as a lot of work being done by volunteers who have come in to help ease the human suffering and to kind of help people. So there's a lot going on the ground right now to kind of ease with the suffering, but there's a lot that we can do to kind of help. So one of the things we're going to put in the description of this video is charities and churches that you guys can donate to, should you want to kind of help offset some of the things. And the reason why we're asking that is 2 weeks after the hurricanes came through, the temperature just plummeted. So we went from around upper 70s to mid 80s to now the temperatures in the morning is around mid 30s to mid 40s, and that is freezing cold. And if you live in the mountains and you don't have heat, you don't have electricity, your home is compromised, you've lost your roof or windows, etc., it's going to be very miserable, especially if you've lost, your household items and personal effects like your clothes and all that stuff got damaged, destroyed, lost. That the cold that came in just kind of compounds the human suffering. So if you can, there are going to be some charities down below that you can donate money to, as well as clothing and food items. And I'll kind of call out some of the items that people may want at this point in time so that you can go and make your contributions and donations and see how you can help. But then also I want to kind of see what we can do from our personal dollars to kind of help some of these folks. So as in the article, she said that the person that was being interviewed for the article, she said this time of year a lot of tourists come in to visit North Carolina or Appalachia, primarily to do a lot of hiking and leaf peeping and all that stuff. And leaf peeping is something that I grew up in the Northeast. That was something we would do in the fall. We would drive to Connecticut or upstate New York to kind of look at the leaves over the Hudson Valley and all that stuff, and go drink apple cider and all that stuff. They can't really do that in most of Appalachia because they're still doing a lot of recovery. But there are towns that are open. So in this video, I want to kind of call out the towns that are open, that we can go spend our money on. We can still go and do recreation activities and help contribute to the local economy, because if we don't, then a lot of these businesses will close. And when they close, we lose the soul of that particular area. So we want to make sure that we support these folks with the dollars that we have. If we were going to visit, continue to visit. There are some towns that are closed because they've been heavily destroyed, and I'll call those out as well. They cannot entertain guests at this time, so it's best, unless you're volunteering to help with recovery efforts or anything like that, it's best to kind of stay away from certain towns. I'll call those out. But for others that are open for business, I encourage you and myself to go and contribute to these businesses. There's one big impediment though to kind of helping. So my plan for this year was to go drive the Blue Ridge Parkway from where it starts at the Great Smoky National Park in North Carolina to the end in Virginia where it ends in the Shenandoah National Park. Well, because of Hurricane Helene, about 50% of the Blue Ridge Parkway is currently closed because big sections of it have been destroyed. There's been landslides, there have been infrastructure damage that just kind of makes it unsafe for cars to be on the road. And the National Park Service that kind of manages the Blue Ridge Parkway they've closed it off so that people just don't get in there and cause more damage or end up in a situation where they need to be rescued. So with that being out of the question, for myself, I'm not being able to drive the Blue Ridge Parkway and do the hiking and taking in the scenery and the things that I've done. I went there about 3 years ago, and I took the Blue Ridge Parkway from North Carolina to Linville, and I did a lot of hiking and stuff, and I made some videos and stuff. It's all in my back catalog on my channel. There were a lot of things that I did not do in my last video that I wanted to go do. There are tons of waterfalls and overlooks and different little towns that I wanted to stop in and visit that would now have to wait for them to kind of recover. But if you were planning to visit towns in the area and do hiking, look at my list, see if those towns are open, continue to do so. If it is closed, then make alternate plans. So one of the things I did call out, there's the Blue Ridge Parkway being closed. And then there are some other major interstates as well that are closed. I think the I-40, I may have that wrong. I'll put the correct information here, going towards Asheville. Some of those are closed, so it would prevent people from visiting. And you do want to avoid those areas because they just may not be safe, and you will impede recovery options, operations going on in that area. So check before you go, but please go if you can, or if you were intending to go, continue to make your plans. The second thing that's going to impede helping in that area is the misinformation that's going on online, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of the different social media channels. And you know, some people are well-intentioned. They hear information secondhand, third-hand, fourth-hand, and then they just pass it on, and it takes on a life of its own. There are government programs that are set up to help people. These programs have their rules and they have their rigors and their strictures to make sure that there's a reduction in fraud and to make sure that the money gets to the right people. Please stop slandering some of these programs, because what it does is, for folks who live in Appalachia that need the help, when they hear this information, it kind of discourages them from seeking the help they need. And the one thing I do not want to have on my conscience is that I may have spread information that kept someone who needed help from seeking the help and getting the help that they need. The government has programs where you get one-time grants. There are programs that kind of work as a backstop to your property insurance. If you don't have property insurance, if you don't have flood insurance, there are programs to help. If you get denied property insurance claims, there are programs to help. There are grants, there are loans, there are a slew of different programs. There are loans where you don't have to start paying back anything, including interest, for 1 year. There are one-time cash grants of, I think it's $770. There's a lot of misinformation around that. Please go to the FEMA.gov website and go straight to the source and see what you are available to. Please don't take second-hand, third-hand, fourth-hand information as gospel, because if you need help, go get the help. If you hear something, please don't pass it on. Just check the source and see if it is true as to whether someone will qualify for up to $770, or will FEMA take their home? Will FEMA deny them? Would, you know, all these different things. It discourages people from visiting the area, and it also discourages people from seeking the help that they need. So we really need to get a handle around the misinformation, because as I said, the cold weather has come and it has gotten really, really cold, and anyone who needs help, we want to make sure that they do get it, and that anything that we're sharing does not impede their ability to get the help they need. So sorry to kind of go on about the misinformation, but I really needed to address it because it really is growing, and I don't understand why we are spreading it, but it really needs to stop. But what I want to do is I want to kind of call out some of the organizations, and I'll have links in the description of this video that you can donate to if you aren't able to visit, or, you know, just need to donate either way. The Salvation Army is one place, Samaritan's Purse is another, and then there are local churches and charities such as the 21 Fox Creek Church in North Carolina. Some of the things people want: they need propane for their heaters, they need indoor heaters, they need generators, sleeping bags and blankets. We need warm clothing, generators, I said that already, flashlights, batteries, socks, hygiene products, baby formula. Some places may or may not be taking personal clothes and stuff like that. Call first and ask, but I think some of the more bigger items like generators and blankets and stuff like that, that might be needed because of the severe temperature change. So what I want to do now is kind of jump into the towns that are totally off limits right now due to the ongoing recovery, and then I'll cover some of the towns that are open so we can go and spend money and help support these folks so that they can get back on their feet, the businesses can stay open, the money from the business can go toward keeping the towns open, help with the cleanup, the beautification, and try to get Appalachia back to what it used to be. So as to the towns in North Carolina, West North Carolina, that are not really open for business right now because of the massive cleanup efforts underway. And I apologize for not having much information about Tennessee and Virginia at this point. My mind has just been kind of single focused on what's been going on in Georgia and North Carolina. But for North Carolina, the towns that are currently not welcoming visitors is Swannanoa, Asheville, Black Mountain, Old Fort, Chimney Rock, Lake Lure, Bat Cave, Marshall, Hot Springs, Burnsville, Spruce Pine, and Sugar Mountain. These are the towns that are currently not welcoming visitors because they've got a lot of cleanup to do. Now, as to the towns that are open in western North Carolina that we can visit and spend money at and continue to support, this is just a short list. There are a lot more, but we're going to start with Brevard, Hendersonville, Tyrone, Saluda, Boone, Blowing Rock, Colloway, Silver, Bryson City, Maggie Valley, Waynesville, Weaverville, Highlands, Sapphire, Cashiers, Cherokee, Dillsboro, Fontana, Robbinsville, Nantahala, Scaly Mountain, Franklin, Murphy, Andrews, Hayesville, and there's a lot more, but for now that's the information that I have. So hopefully you guys find this information helpful. If there are charities that you know of that people should donate to, reputable charities, can you please add it to the comments down below? If you are giving monies, please validate that you are giving to a reputable charity. Do not click on any random link and give the money. I kind of discourage people from giving to GoFundMe unless you verify that the money is going to the organization that is going to use that. Don't just give your money to random places. And there's a lot of scams and schemes out there. There's a lot of misinformation and bad information going around. So I don't want to belabor the point. Let's continue to support our friends in the mountains and see that they get back on their feet and that the mountains thrive again. And please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.